Welcome to Law and the Machine, where artificial intelligence meets the legal system, liability, regulation, intellectual property, and the government's uncomfortable role as both rulemaker and AI adopter. The law wasn't written for this.
Played for a fool. That's the extraordinary phrase Elon Musk used to describe his feelings about funding OpenAI, the company behind ChatGPT. It's a striking accusation, especially coming from one of its co-founders.
It is. His lawsuit against OpenAI alleges a fundamental betrayal of its founding mission. What started in 2015 as a nonprofit dedicated to ensuring artificial general intelligence, or AGI, benefits all humanity, he claims has devolved into a for-profit subsidiary of Microsoft.
So a nonprofit with a mission of AI for all humanity morphs into something that feels decidedly corporate. That's a huge shift in just a few years. What exactly was OpenAI's initial promise?
The promise was ambitious and altruistic. They were founded as a 501c3 nonprofit, explicitly stating their goal was to develop AGI safely and ensure its broad distribution, prioritizing public benefit over profit. The original charter even pledged freely collaborate and share research. Musk, Sam Altman, Peter Thiel, and others initially pledged $1 billion, all under this banner of open, safe AI development.
$1 billion is a serious commitment to a nonprofit. But then something changed. When did this illusion of the nonprofit AI lab, as some are calling it, start to take shape?
The pivot really began in 2019. That's when OpenAI established a new entity, OpenAI LP, as a capped profit subsidiary. The stated reason was practical. Developing AGI is incredibly expensive, requiring vast amounts of capital and compute power that a traditional nonprofit simply couldn't raise. This new structure allowed them to seek external investment while theoretically maintaining the nonprofit's control.
Capped profit sounds like a contradiction in terms. It's an interesting legal maneuver. How does that structure actually work, and how does it supposedly keep the nonprofit mission intact?
It's certainly novel. Under this model, investors can earn a return, but it's capped. Reports indicate that for early investors, the cap was set at 100 times their initial investment. The key was that the original nonprofit organization retained a controlling interest in OpenAI LP. Its nonprofit board was meant to oversee the capped profit entity, ensuring that the mission of beneficial AGI remained paramount, even as they pursued commercial avenues to fund its development.
So the idea was that the organization needed money, but aimed to avoid selling out, instead borrowing on favorable terms. But 100x return, that's still a staggering amount of profit. It makes one wonder what nonprofit really means in this context. Is it truly about public benefit if such massive private returns are possible?
That's precisely the central tension. Critics argue that once you introduce such a substantial profit motive, even if capped, the incentives inevitably shift. The pressure to generate revenue, to commercialize quickly, and to deliver those returns can easily overshadow the slower, more cautious, and inherently less profitable work of ensuring ethical development and open access. It's a structure that tries to have both ways, but many question if it succeeds.
And this is where Microsoft enters the picture, correct? Because securing that massive capital injection ultimately led to them becoming far more than just a customer.
Exactly. Microsoft became the dominant investor, pouring billions into OpenAI, ultimately totaling around $13 billion. In return, Microsoft secured exclusive licensing rights to OpenAI's foundational models, like GPT, for integration into their own products and services. They also provided the immense compute power necessary for training these models through their Azure cloud platform.
So OpenAI gets the money and compute. Microsoft gets exclusive access to cutting-edge AI. On paper, it sounds like a win-win. But Musk's lawsuit frames this relationship as OpenAI becoming a de facto subsidiary of Microsoft. Is there evidence to support that kind of claim?
The lawsuit points to several factors. Beyond the exclusive licensing and massive financial backing, Microsoft gained a board observer seat at OpenAI LP, giving them insight and influence without direct voting power, but certainly a strong voice. The deep operational integration, with OpenAI running almost entirely on Azure, means their success is inextricably linked to Microsoft's infrastructure. When you consider the sheer scale of Microsoft's investment versus any other entity, the balance of power shifts significantly, regardless of the nonprofit board's theoretical control.
This highlights a common conflict of interest. Situations often arise where the lines blur between regulator, contractor, and lobbyist in the AI space. Here, there is a major tech player, Microsoft, acting as both the primary financial backer and exclusive licensee of a supposedly public benefit AI lab. It's a classic example of how a company can embed itself so deeply that its interests become almost indistinguishable from the nonprofit it's investing in.
Precisely. Microsoft's investment wasn't just capital, it was a strategic integration. Their board observer status, while not a direct vote, means they are privy to internal discussions and strategic directions. They provide the very infrastructure OpenAI relies on. It's hard to imagine OpenAI making a strategic move that would significantly undermine Microsoft's interests. The commercial imperative, driven by that enormous investment and the expectation of returns, becomes incredibly powerful.
So, essentially, Microsoft gains a near monopoly on one of the world's most advanced AI systems, effectively locking in a competitive advantage through an entity originally founded on open public benefit principles. The question it raises is, when a company like Microsoft becomes so intertwined with an AI developer, especially one with a stated public mission, does it inevitably lead to commercial interests overriding the public good?
It's a critical question that these hybrid structures like OpenAI's capped profit model force a confrontation with, because the entanglement isn't just financial, it's operational, strategic, and governance related.
And the governance side of this story got very public and very messy late last year, didn't it? The saga of Sam Altman's ouster and dramatic return seems to underscore who really holds the power.
It absolutely does. In November 2023, the nonprofit board, which was still technically in control, abruptly fired CEO Sam Altman, citing a lack of candor in his communications. It sent shockwaves through the tech world. The board was supposedly acting to protect the nonprofit mission, potentially against the accelerating commercialization.
But that decision didn't last long. It was reversed almost as quickly as it happened.
Within days, after immense pressure from employees threatening to quit and, crucially, from major investors like Microsoft, Altman was reinstated. What followed was a significant restructuring of the board itself. The original nonprofit board members who had fired Altman were largely replaced. The new board includes individuals often perceived as more aligned with commercial interests and the pace of development that Altman represents.
So the very board tasked with upholding the nonprofit's mission and ensuring AGI benefits humanity, and which supposedly held the single vote of control, was effectively sidelined and restructured when it challenged the commercial leadership. That's a pretty stark illustration of where the real power lies, isn't it?
It's a powerful signal. It suggests that even with a nonprofit parent and a capped profit subsidiary, when push comes to shove, the interests of major investors and the drive for rapid commercialization can override the governance mechanisms designed to ensure public benefit. The episode highlighted the fragility of that nonprofit control when faced with the enormous financial stakes and the personalities involved.
It also brings the discussion back to the original mission. If the goal was safe AGI for all of humanity, how does this structure, with its intense pressure for commercialization and its demonstrated vulnerability to investor influence, align with that?
That's the core concern. The rapid development and deployment of models like GPT, driven by commercial imperatives, raises questions about the thoroughness of safety checks, the equitable distribution of access, and the transparency of the development process. The very open in OpenAI seems to have been diminished, with much of the cutting-edge research remaining proprietary. The incentive to move fast and capture market share often conflicts with the slower, more deliberate process required for rigorous safety and ethical considerations.
So the illusion isn't just about the financial structure, but about the fundamental promise of what an AI lab can be. It raises questions about whether any organization, regardless of its founding charter, can truly prioritize public benefit once billions of dollars of private investment are on the table.
It's a profound challenge. This model, where a nonprofit acts as a governance shell for a for-profit enterprise, creates a complex legal and ethical landscape. It allows companies to attract mission-driven talent and benefit from a public-spirited image while simultaneously pursuing aggressive commercial strategies and delivering substantial returns to investors. It essentially privatizes the benefits of groundbreaking AI while potentially socializing the risks, all under the guise of public good.
And for regulators trying to get a handle on AI, this kind of hybrid structure must be a nightmare. How can regulators effectively manage a company that claims nonprofit status but acts like a for-profit behemoth?
It's incredibly difficult. Existing regulatory frameworks aren't designed for these sophisticated hybrid entities. Is it a tech company, a research institution, a public utility? The answer is all of the above, but not quite any of them cleanly. It challenges assumptions about corporate governance, liability, and even intellectual property. The capped profit model allows for the best of both worlds, the moral authority of a nonprofit and the capital-raising power of a corporation, without fully adhering to the strictures or transparency usually expected of either.
So what started as an idealistic vision for AI has become a complex case study in corporate governance, mission drift, and the overwhelming power of capital. The illusion of the nonprofit AI lab suggests that the ethical and societal goals can easily be subsumed by commercial pressures, even when a nonprofit board is theoretically in control.
It certainly does. The OpenAI saga is a powerful indicator of the structural tensions at play in the race to develop AGI. It forces a re-evaluation of what public benefit truly means in the context of hyper-capitalized, rapidly advancing technology.
This entire narrative leaves listeners with a few critical insights. First, the term nonprofit in AI development can be incredibly misleading when billions in private capital and massive investor returns are involved. It's not the traditional charity model.
Second, the governance structures of these hybrid entities, designed to balance mission and profit, appear to be highly vulnerable to the pressures of major investors and the commercial ambitions of leadership, as shown by the board's swift turnover after the Altman ouster.
Third, the deep integration of a powerful tech company like Microsoft as a primary investor and exclusive licensee creates a dynamic where its commercial interests can become inextricable from the public benefit goals of the AI lab itself.
And finally, this model sets a potentially troubling precedent for how future foundational AI research might be funded and controlled, raising serious questions about the concentration of power and the genuine prioritization of safety and ethical development.
The ultimate question these developments pose for everyone is, if the most prominent AI lab, founded on a mission of OpenAI for humanity, can be so profoundly reshaped by commercial forces, who then is truly accountable for ensuring the future of AI serves everyone, not just shareholders?
That's all for Law and the Machine. Join us next time as we continue exploring where AI and the law collide. If you found this useful, subscribe. We appreciate it.
The law will catch up, eventually.